thanks so much for joining us today on the program. I am thrilled to be able to welcome not only my daughter Mary Grace, but also Casey Rossi is the Assistant Director of Camps and Youth.
Guest services.
Guest services. Thank you. Mary Grace is already here to correct me. I love that. That's perfect. Guest services for the Office of Youth and Young Adult Evangelization.
That's right.
Of the Archdiocese of Seattle. That's a mouthful, but I made it. Whew. Thanks so much, Casey, for joining me. Thank you, Mary Grace.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So why are we here today? Well, school is just about to be over, and I know a lot of parents are thinking, what are we going to do with our kids this summer? And we spend a lot of time on Sound Insight trying to help parents think about ways of helping to structure and order their summers and their kids' times. And we've brought up any number of occasions the power and opportunity that is there at a CYO camp.
Right.
And we've got proof right here in our midst. And that's our daughter, Mary Grace. Mary Grace, how many times have you been to camp?
This summer will be my 6th year, so I've been going since I was in 5th grade.
Now, you've been to a whole bunch of different types of faith formation activities, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Because you've freely chosen to do that, is that right?
You forced me.
I invited you. It was the Holy Spirit prompting, Mary Grace, that's what it was. And among all of these things, how would you rank, how would you rate your experience at CYO camps? And not just that Casey is on your left over there. So.
Definitely at the top. All of my friends that don't go to camp make fun of me because I talk about it so much. I'm so excited to go. It's definitely the highlight of my summer. All my camp friends are on my side. We have a group chat going. We're all so excited to go. So definitely near the top. Now,
one way that we can identify this is how much territory it takes up in your bedroom. Now, Mary Grace has a special gift that you have a room to yourself. And when you have 8 siblings, that's not an easy thing. So you get to map out just what is going to show up on the walls of your bedroom. And where does CYO camp show up in your bedroom?
I have an entire wall. It's pretty long with camp pictures. The middle of it, it's words cut out that says camp. Then I have sayings and camp phrases and inside jokes and stuff all around the pictures. And then there's over 300 pictures in the middle, and I just keep
You have no idea, Casey, how much.
I can show you a picture later.
There we go.
Yeah, seriously, it's 300 pictures. Is it
from all the years?
All these different years on camps, and it's amazing because I see. I know that camp is about faith, family, faith, friends, and fun, and I'm really amazed at the camps from 6 years ago, where Mary Grace, you were this little girl.
Yeah, I still had braces. I was
and there's Annie.
Yeah, Annie
this
Akers.
Girl that you met at camp as a little girl, and now you're friends with her. You went to her birthday party, and you do activities with her, and she lives in Bellevue, and you're way down here in Federal Way. It's amazing how friendships can really blossom at camp.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Casey, talk about this. I just mentioned that camps are about faith and friends and fun. How long have you been involved in CYO camps? And just tell us a bit about your background.
That's a great question. So I've started, this is my fifth summer, starting off with CYO summer camp. I started off 2012, summer of 2012, so you've actually been involved with CYO longer than I have. Mary Grace. I was working at Archbishop Murphy High School, directing campus ministry there. Wonderful school, wonderful place, but I had summers free to actually start helping out with the summer camps. The leadership then kind of reached out and said, we'd love to have you help out. Help bring faith to these camps and help just make them great. So I've been doing my best, sometimes succeeding and sometimes not, but overall doing, I think, hopefully a decent job. But prior to that, I was a youth minister in Everett at Immaculate Conception, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. And prior to that, worked in Illinois with Cultivation Ministries and a parish on the North Shore there. Before all that, started off in Ellensburg, Washington, where I was born and raised. Went to college there and did parish ministry there also. So yeah, this is great.
So your entire life has been involved in lay ministry.
Yes.
And here helping kids come to faith, helping Catholics grow in faith.
Yeah.
Now, Casey Ross. Now, there's something about that name this time of year in the Archdiocese of Seattle that's getting a lot of play. It's getting a lot of visibility. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking
a little
about.
bit around the Ross household. That would be your brother Cody.
Yes. The number of texts and voicemails I've gotten, is that your brother? Is that Cody? Are you related? And yes, Cody Ross, my younger brother, yet wonderful brother. We have 4 boys in our family. Will be ordained to the priesthood June 25th. So we are very blessed. Very blessed.
Now, you know my first question. Are you going to go to confession to Cody?
That is a great question. That is, I am willing to do that. I'm just afraid of the penance he's going to give me.
Hey, this is payback. This is payback.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a strategy. So go to confession like on Saturday at some other place, and then go to confession to him on Monday.
There we go.
So you can come across really, really holy.
There we go.
just skip over the part since how long it's been since your last confession.
That's right.
You know, Father, I'm just going to go straight into my sins. You know,
Father, brother.
Face to face, behind the screen, I'll have to use a different voice.
Now, what's it like having a brother that you see grow up? So you've chosen a path and been called to respond to the Lord here as a Catholic layman, husband and father, serving the Lord and the church in ministry. To see a brother discern a call, because he was also involved in lay ministry.
Correct.
Right? He was also he was a director of youth ministry or evangelization at Holy Family in Kirkland.
Yes.
Right? Wasn't he for
exactly?
a time?
Yes, for many years. So
and so now having him feel a call and respond to that call to the priesthood. What's that like?
It's been really beautiful. You know, growing up, we were brothers, and brothers butt heads and fight, and as we all do.
Whose
from
fault
time
was
to
it
time.
though, when that happened?
I'm going to leave that one up to the Lord. I'm going to withhold judgment. But no, it's been really beautiful to see his faith grow, and then be able to share that faith also through the years, both as he started off in ministry, actually at St. Michael's, and then up to Holy Family, being able to share, to collaborate in different youth events that happened. And then now just be able to walk with him on that journey, to pray and to support him. And most beautifully for me personally as a father, to have my children look at Uncle Cody, who will very soon be Father Uncle Cody, and be able to discern and actually see as a real option that is God calling me on that same path. So.
Well, I know I'm excited to see when Mary Grace can have her
I knew
sister.
that was coming. As soon as you said that, I was like, he's going to go into becoming a nun.
Well, if the Lord would have you be a sister, it's not up to me. It's up to the Lord.
That's right.
If you're going to be a nun,
And your openness, yeah.
I'm just thrilled. They're super open because, Annalise would love to bring her kids. Say, look, let's meet Sister Mary Grace. She's praying for you every day. Well, we'll kind of keep moving along here in the conversation.
Right.
But think about, you grew up in a home that, here you go, two of you and your brother full-time at the service of the Lord in the church. What was it about your parents that fostered faith in you to have those things emerge, to say, this is how I want to pour my life out at the service of the Lord in the church?
Yeah, I'd have to say it's, we were born and raised in the faith. We were baptized at St. Andrew's Catholic Parish in Ellensburg, Washington. And I just have to look at my parents' selflessness. Like throughout their whole lives, they have always put us first. And putting others first. I use the example at Archbishop Murphy High School, sharing a story about my own father. He's the type of man who will just lay his life down, even when his sons were not as kind and as loving as they should have been. He's the type of man who is always willing to put us first. The example I used there was, he's the one who eats the heel of the bread. Like when you're eating, no one wants to eat that heel. He's the one who will say, I'll happily eat that heel. That played itself out time and time again, and still does. So.
That's beautiful. I thought I was going to tee you up to say, well, they sent us off to CYO Camp growing up, and that made all the difference in the world. But it actually brings me to the CYO camps. So we have enthusiastically supported CYO summer camps for years, and really it's because of the fruit. Growing up, Carrie and I, we didn't go to CYO camps, and maybe summer camps weren't that big a part of faith life in the church where I grew up. But here, to see the difference it's made in several of my kids' lives, it's like, this is something that we want to promote. So I'd like you to just talk about it from the standpoint of, okay, parents are listening right now, and they've got kids. Talk about the age range that they could maybe send their kids off. But let's talk about it in terms of when they come back.
Yes.
What is your hope for a son or a daughter, let's say, in middle school or in high school, and they're going to come back after a week of being away on camp. What would you want a parent to say? Here's what's going to be coming back to you.
Right. Yeah. Well, we do have camps for grades, incoming kindergarten through incoming 12th grade, and our hope and goal is that kids will encounter Christ. That's all we can really do is hopefully help bring them face to face, whether at the high school and middle school camps where we're face to face with the Blessed Sacrament, being able to celebrate reconciliation. But really to encounter God and to really challenge campers to say, what does this mean for your own life? Some campers come into camp without any real active faith life, and we welcome them. Some come in as Catholics who are strong in their faith, and we encourage them to take that next step forward to discern maybe where God might be calling them down the road.
So Mary Grace, we as your mom and I, we want you to encounter Christ at home and at church. Do you ever get that sense?
Just a little.
Just a little sometimes. What difference is it to you that you get to have this invitation that Casey's talking about? What difference is it for you to have this invitation to encounter Christ in the home life that we're living out with you versus you going off to camp for a week and living through the experience of camp? Why is that so special and being at home so occasionally difficult or annoying?
Well, I think at home it's kind of like, we're expected to go to Mass. I'm expected to go to church to set example for my younger siblings. We're doing family prayer, like say the rosary, like stay on task, even though I don't always do that. But when I go to summer camp, it's a mix of faith and friends and having a good time, and I get to choose to go to camp. It's not like you guys are forcing me to go. I freely said I want to go back. And then when you're there, you do all of the fun things during the day. You're surrounded by it's so pretty at Camp Hamilton. It's like you're surrounded by beautiful nature, and then you have all your friends there. You're having a great time. And then we do all the fun games and stuff. And then at night and also in the morning, we go to the chapel, and everyone just kind of calms down, and a counselor will give what's that thing called?
A reflection, a sharing.
Yeah, they'll give
testimony.
a testimony. Yeah, that's what it is. Or we'll do adoration, or we'll do confession, or we'll do some sort of praise and worship song or mass or whatever it is. And everyone comes together, and it's everyone experiences growing in their faith together, and then we can all take it out. It's for the rest of the camp week, and everyone's kind of oh, okay, this is kind of what it's about. And then once we leave camp, you still kind of feel, I want to take this out and continue it. I don't know.
No, that's a great answer. Did you tell her to say that, Casey?
Better the lines before.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about a story. Can you think of a testimony or a story of a young person whose life was deeply touched by their time on camp?
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago we had a young person who came up to camp, and we had some discipline issues the first couple days, working through just what the proper boundaries were and what you could and couldn't say to your fellow staff member or to the campers. And through the week, we really designed this week to break down those walls, as you mentioned, through climbing walls, high ropes course, boating, paintball, all sorts of just fun outdoor programs. And through the week, those relationships were built with his cabin leader. Those relationships were built with the other staff members through those chapel times, and starts to pique the curiosity of those maybe who this one camper who maybe was not as much there for the faith aspect as much as for the fun. But by the end of the week, after celebrating reconciliation, having a time of adoration, he left that night floating on air, just saying, "This is wonderful. This is amazing." And he wasn't talking about the paintball course. He wasn't talking about the boats, which are all wonderful. He was talking about the experience that he felt, that freedom, maybe of talking to a priest for the first time, and being able to sit face to face with Christ, being able to go to some of the staff members and receive prayer, some prayer ministry for just anything that's on his heart. So seeing him come down, and in that next day, even we still had some discipline problems. He wasn't a perfect angel. And yet he still had that encounter. One other quick story, if I might, after my second summer at camp, I received a phone call from the then Faith Formation Director up at St. Mary Magdalene Parish in Everett. And he received a phone call from a young person's father who had just been up to Camp Hamilton, who was asking what the process was to become baptized, because he'd had this experience up at camp. and wanted to know how can I keep this life going. Now I don't know the rest of that whole story if he was baptized and came into the church, but at least that interest was piqued and he was willing to take that next step.
I think that's beautiful, and that's very encouraging for parents to be able to hear that. I'm talking with Casey Ross. He is the Assistant Director of Camps and Guest Services for the Archdiocese of Seattle for the Youth and Young Adult Evangelization Office, and my daughter Mary Grace, who is the #1 cheerleader for CYO Camps here in Western Washington by far. Mary Grace, did you want to tell a story? Or?
I was going to add something.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so on to the faith formation and stuff. I think when you're at school, when you're at church and stuff, it's kind of it might be kind of weird to be praying or to be fully active at mass and stuff. It's kind of oh, that's kind of weird. But at camp, since when you get there, everyone with the activities and stuff, everyone's not afraid to be themselves. Everyone's really accepting. So then when you go to do the faith formation stuff, everyone's oh, it's totally okay, and everyone's participating in it, so it's not weird, and you can be fully participating in it without being oh, people are going to think I'm weird, because that's kind of what people are facing today. So when you go to camp, all the walls are broken down for that too.
Just to let you know, parents never feel that. Adult Catholics never feel weird about expressing their faith in front of others, and believe it or not, that's a dynamic that can happen in every situation. But I got to tell you, for parents to know that, wow, my child, my preschooler, my grade schooler, my high schooler can actually experience a context where it's going to be normal and natural and even exciting to be able to live my faith and express my faith. That is very powerful. What a great gift to be able to provide that kind of context. So Casey, let's talk a little bit about what happens in a CYO week. Kind of map it out. Choose a week and talk about it, because I know there are different kinds of weeks and different focus types of activities. Because I know that there's a lot of secret. We kind of drop our kids off, and then we're basically invited to, here's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. So talk about what happens in a week.
Oh, that's great. Well, we start the week off. Campers come in, and as Mary Grace pointed out, people are coming in from different backgrounds. They are coming in from different family types, different places from around the state, from around the country even. And we come in and we really try to break those walls down. We take time in the different cabin groups. We've actually, one step we're taking this year is inviting parish groups to come up to Camp Hamilton, so that they're coming up with members from their own youth ministry program. So those campers will know each other more, but then we try to break those walls down, having cabin time so they get to know each other. We're playing silly games from the moment the campers show up to camp. Icebreakers,
what is this?
Helping everyone feel silly and awkward.
The counselors are super into it, and everyone's what?
Yes. Well, and that's a huge point. We have staff members from around the country and around the world even. We have some coming to the airport as we speak here. And these are young people who are on fire in their faith, and each of them are growing also. But these staff members really take care in a pastoral way and in a safe way of these campers throughout the week at both Camp Don Bosco and Camp Hamilton. But from that first night, we get those rules taken care of. We make sure people have swim checks, those real safety standard pieces for all summer camps, so we don't lose campers through the week, because that's obviously crucial. And from then we move into our first meal, and then into some games, and then chapel time. So start to open that story, so to begin that faith journey in that camp time. That's the first night. We jump into campfire every night. The singing, which
you don't actually jump into the campfire.
No, we jump around the campfire.
You get pretty close though. I've seen some of that. So.
There's a whole beautiful, the campfire circles at all these camps. They look the same, and this goes back to the earliest days of the CYO summer camps, with the eagle of the cross, the order of the cross, where the stones around that campfire represent all of the souls in the world gathered around that fire, which actually represents all those white rocks, which the fire actually represents the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So there's symbolism throughout camp. It helps point campers back to their faith. So day 2, we jump into programs, morning and afternoon.
Excuse me.
Prayer, morning, prayer in the evening, typically a shorter prayer in the morning, and that evening prayer really ends up being more of a youth group style, youth ministry style gathering with some music, some praise and worship. We are singing songs, we're having faith testimonies, we're having a small group sessions, a message shared, and then some sort of sending ritual prayer. So back down to the campfire. So throughout the week, those relationships are being built, and those small group questions don't just remain in that small group time. Since the campers are traveling in small groups throughout the week, they're able to continue those conversations.
You know, Casey, one of the things that I've heard from Mary Grace and some of her siblings that have gone on camps is the impact that a camp, I don't know if you call them counselor or whoever's in the cabin leader, whatever you call those people, can have on the kids themselves.
Absolutely.
And we love hearing that, you know, seminarians are there serving through the summer, to be able to see a young person witnessing to a total gift of themselves. You talk about pouring themselves out, that you had that in your home. Here are these young men saying, I'm going to give my life to the Lord in the church as a priest. What a beautiful thing. Mary Grace, can you think of camp counselors or cabin leaders that have impacted you through the years?
I had a camp counselor that went to Franciscan University. Her name is, Andrea. I had her for 2 years in a row, and I had Rosie for a couple of years. They're both from Franciscan, and they're both really good, like faith leaders. So when we got back to our cabin one time, we were having a lot of fun. I remember this like very distinctly. We got like all of our care packages out. We had all of our candy and our junk food on the floor. We were just like having a really good time. And then like, okay, let's like settle down and let's talk about like what was your most impactful part of the day. And some of the people said like games or whatever. But then we're like, oh, we remember this one part when we were like in adoration and we were all like harmonizing for a song. And it was like a really cool faith moment. Or another time and then after that, we did a night prayer and we did the Our Father, and we did it like we were saying it really strongly, like not rudely, but like we were saying it like really like powerfully, and it was really cool. And then we went back to the games, but I just remember that, and like they led us through that, so they had a really good impact on me. So.
Yeah, well, and we get to, we hear all these stories and get the signed T-shirts by the different counselors. Oh, there we go. Mary Grace has got a T-shirt on with, she's wearing her camp. She's representing by wearing one of her CYO Camp T-shirts here. If you're being able to watch the video version of this, it's signed by all the kids and some of the counselors too. Yeah, I think that's really neat. Yeah. So when you think about forming a sense of Catholic identity, how does that show up at the different age levels? So for the younger kids, we mentioned Camp Hamilton. And for those who aren't aware, it's kind of like a luxury hotel, a spa, right?
Showers in the cabin, bathroom.
So let's just say it's a pretty rustic experience out there. Rustic. So we went on family camp last year, and let's just say we've heard stories about kind of the odors that can kind of the odor of sanctity that just kind of emerges through the week, because it's you don't have bathrooms in each of the cabins, and you don't have showers that are right there, right?
Or flushing toilets that aren't in disco.
Yes.
Like.
Okay.
Yeah. We are able to use some of those as analogies for the faith. When we talk about the stench of sin, we can refer to those toilets. Avoid sin in your life. This is what it's like.
Oh, that's great.
That spiritual sense. But no, we have a very rustic camp. We have a very new lodge. That main lodge is just gorgeous. I'd say it's about 10 to 12 years old. And we're grateful for all the people who have helped make these camps what they have been over the years, like I said, since 1950. But Camp Hamilton in particular, though, a beautiful setting, just up on Lake Hannon, just south of Monroe, Washington, north of Duval, and then Camp Don Bosco in Carnation. But Camp Hamilton, those cabins are fairly rustic. So
just to say, it's a victory just to get there.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Do not follow like the Apple map or Google map.
No.
Just give up. Just surrender to Jesus and just wait for someone else to drive by and follow them there.
Let the angels guide you.
It is really, until you've been there a few times, then it's like, exactly where to go.
Yeah.
But it is out there.
Yeah.
So you go where out there is, and then you have to go beyond out there, because it's way out there. Yeah. But it is
that
so
makes
worth it.
Even better, because then it's like really quiet at night and you can look up and see all the stars that
That's
aren't blocked
true.
by like the city lights.
We have some great news though. We just got that road from the paved road, where the paved road ends all the way into the main camp now. It hasn't been paved, but it has been resurfaced. So
really?
Oh, that's so nice.
It is a huge step forward. We have the brand new pool now at Camp Don Bosco. And a couple years
talk
ago.
about Camp Don Bosco.
Yeah, so Camp Don Bosco is it's one of our oldest camps. It's actually our oldest camp that we currently own. We've owned many properties over the years, but because of the urban sprawl and economic times, some have had to been sold here and there, which has been sad. But Camp Don Bosco was actually an old Conservation Corps camp in the 30s and 40s, and was purchased by the Archdiocese in 1951, I believe. And it's a beautiful camp, typically for our younger campers, although we have some high school counselor in training and the leadership programs that are based out of there also. But a brand new pool that was just finished last year, and the water slide, which wasn't ready last summer because of the permitting problems, is ready now. So we've got campers who are actually out there now, who are using that water slide. Very, very beautiful horse programs. But we have day camp programs at Camp Don Bosco. So if you're looking for a great place for your son, daughter, grandchildren to be Monday through Friday during the day and then come home at night, we have those programs, as well as resident camp programs where the campers come Monday through Saturday, spending the night.
If you want to find out more information about the CYO camps, the Archdiocesan website is seattlearchdiocese.org. And then you can click right on Youth and Young Adult, the link, and then it says summer camps. But is there a direct
Yes.
link? What's the direct
just
website?
Just go right to seattlearchdiocese.org/camping. It'll take you right to that page.
There you go,
Yeah.
seattlearchdiocese.org/camping will get you there. And you can sign up for day camps, for week-long camps. And that is both at Camp Don Bosco and Camp Hamilton. I'm talking with Casey Ross. He is the Assistant Director of Camps and Guest Services for the Archdiocese of Seattle. And Mary Grace, my oldest daughter, who is a tremendous advocate for that. Mary Grace, there are some parents out there who have high school kids that are listening right now. And they've maybe never been to camp.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going into your junior year in high school, and yet you're as excited as ever
Oh, yeah.
to go on to
better
high
every
school.
year.
It gets better every year. So what would you say to high school kids, some of your peers, who have never been to a camp before, why they would want to even consider giving a week of their time to come out to camp?
Yeah, because some of my friends are like, oh, that's like weird. Why would you go do that? Wouldn't you? Like when I say I'm going to camp this summer, they're like, oh, to be a counselor. I'm like, no, to be a camper, because it's like still so good. I think the best
And
advice.
didn't you, in fact, actually get a few of your friends to sign up for the first time?
Last year, yeah, and we have like a whole group going. There's like 8 of us some of us have been going for like 5 years. Some of us, we like met them along the way. They went to camp like some sessions, and we didn't see them some years. And now we're like, this is like the final year, because a lot of them are going to be seniors next year. So we're really excited. But anyways, advice for high school students going in, I would say be like really open, and like when you get there, you might feel kind of like, oh, like everybody knows each other. But like honestly, if you go into it with an open heart, with like a good perspective of, oh, I'm gonna have a good time, then you will, because everyone's super welcoming. We're really open to have like everyone join the group. The group's like super fun. Like the community's really good. Like when we play the games, when we do all the activities and stuff, being open and being willing to put yourself out there, to act silly at the campfire, or to participate in the songs that we sing at the meals, or to enter into the faith part of it, or do whatever it is. Be really open to it, and people will welcome you in, and you have a way more awesome time, and you'll take a lot more out of it too.
I love that. And I think that will also, here's the theological word, dispose you, or give you a little bit more openness to recognize that in the midst of all of this like enjoyable fellowship and fun, the Lord is at work. That Jesus Christ is going to draw close to them. And that's something that should excite young people, because I think in high school there's a lot of decisions that young people are making about, how do I want to live? How is my faith going to play itself out in my life? And I'm going to be moving on into college, and how do I want God and Christ and my Catholic faith to be part of that? So this can be a great time to put a little bit more of an anchoring into the lives of young people as they're in their high school years. At least that would be my hope, and I think a lot of parents would hope for that too.
Yeah, and at the high school camp, we do a thing called like sunset after we do chapel. So we go up to Sunset Ridge. We like go up this like pretty steep walkway thing, and we go and people do sharing and stuff. And a common phrase that people say when they go up to give a reflection is, camp is just a place. And that's like saying that, yeah, the Spirit's there, or like the camp is a place, but the spirit that we have there, all the like the good stuff that we get out of it, we can take it into the world after we get home from camp. Because sometimes you get home from camp, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm just going to go back on my phone. I'm just going to do the regular routine of what I was doing before. But if you think about it, you can continue the spirit. So like my group of friends, as soon as we left camp, we like started a group chat. We started talking like all the time. We still have it going. We're going to keep it going until like I have a countdown. We send pictures all the time. We see stuff. We talk about old memories and stuff. And we keep the camp spirit alive. We have like some of my other friends also have camp walls. We talk about like decorating our eagles. We talk about all the different stuff. And when you keep the camp spirit alive, it's awesome.
I think that's really neat. Casey, what do you see as the future of CYO camps?
Yeah, I pray growth. You know, we put ourselves in God's hands daily. So just to ask God to do with it what He will. But we are seeing growth. We're seeing more and more campers come out. Our dream is to move to have a missionary team to grow these programs, not just to remain in the summertime, but to have different events. In fact, this fall and spring, we have a retreat planned for junior high youth this coming October at Camp Don Bosco, and again in the spring up at Camp Hamilton in April, Divine Mercy Sunday actually, for that whole weekend. So we're going to be growing those programs throughout the year, continuing to bring on staff as we grow to help us grow further, but really just partner with families and partner with the Archdiocese and to keep Archbishop Sarton's mission of keeping these camps healthy, keeping these camps, helping kids to see God there and then bring that forth. So.
Mary Grace had an opportunity to write an essay.
Yes.
And it got a little bit of visibility. I'm very proud, I'd be a proud papa here that there was an essay contest and Mary Grace won the high school.
Yes.
But we have to give really the credit to CYO Camps.
Well, let's give it to God. Let's give it to the Lord.
Give it to the Lord, the Lord who brought about that beautiful
Casey
event.
paid me to write the essay to promote camp.
Casey wrote the essay.
We gave
Mary
you
Grace
camp
put her
store
name on the
credit.
line. No, let's tell that story, Mary Grace. What happened? And tell the story that showed up in the Northwest Catholic magazine.
Okay, so one night we were all getting like pretty excited for a camp game that was happening later that night. I think we were going to play the Find the Counselor game.
I think so.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like where all the counselor or like some of the counselors they go hide like through the woods and it's really dark and you have to go find them. It's a really fun game. I love the game. And so we're all really excited to go, but we're walking up to the chapel time and I heard like some people saying, "Oh, I don't really want to go to this because we're going to have a confession service." And everyone's like, "Oh, whatever, like I don't really have to go, like I just want to like get it over with." And so then we all went into the chapel and the service started and they did like a little reflection. They started playing music and pretty soon, like a bunch of people started getting in line to go to confession. They had pews lining up to go out the door, and it was like completely packed. There were people like waiting on the floor to go in after. It was a very long line, and like 30 minutes into the thing, a boy came out of the confessional, and he was like kind of quiet. He had his head down, and he went and sat in the back. And then I saw another person. He was a senior. And so he got up. I knew he was friends with the boy. He went up and he started talking to him like quietly in the back, and they went out and I heard the boy he was like were you there? I think you're there. And he was sobbing and everyone was kind of like, what? But like you could tell that he had been like overcome by whatever he had said to the priest in confession. And soon they always have like little prayer circles outside the chapel if you want to go get prayed with or you want to pray with someone. So a lot of people who were coming out of the confessional, a lot of them like had tears in their eyes and they all moved outside, and soon there was a lot of people outside. Pretty much like I think everyone went to confession who was there. The service started going like really long. Everyone's like, this is going really long. But like I don't even think anyone cared because everyone was praying and singing and going to confession and adoration and praying outside. And it was a really great experience. It was a really good like aura in the chapel. It was like peaceful, but it was also really prayerful too. So I could tell that a lot of people were overcome by the confession experience that they had. And then we all got out, and the game that we were going to play, it was canceled because it had gone so long. It was like 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. But I don't even think anyone was very mad. Everyone's like, oh, it's okay, because everyone had been changed by what happened in confession. So we all walked back to our cabins. I think we did like a little campfire. And then the night afterwards, the boy who had been like sobbing very like loudly, he wrote a poem because that was like something that he liked to do, because I saw a couple of his other poems, and he shared it in the beginning. It was kind of like a rap kind of poem, and so it was kind of about like sin and darkness and all these bad things, and the end was about like being pure and being forgiven and all this stuff, and everyone was like so excited for him. I remember everyone was like cheering and clapping. It was so cool. And then actually he, after the essay came out in the magazine, he messaged me on Instagram, and he was like, hey, I heard you wrote this about me. That means like so much to me. Thank you so much. You described that night perfectly, and that week was so awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. So
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Wow, were you saving that up for right now?
The big reveal.
That is really cool. That's Mary Grace Curran, my oldest daughter, and Casey Ross is with me today, and we're talking about CYO summer camps. We know that there are many things that you want for your kids. How many of you want your kids to be able to come alive and have an experience of the Catholic faith where they can know the mercy of the Lord in their lives in a personal way? They can encounter the Lord in adoration, to be able to pray with their peers and really be grounded in their Catholic faith. CYO Summer Camps is a powerful place where that has happened for my daughter, for more than one of my daughters. I don't have any sons that old yet, but they're getting there, and so that there's always the vying for what weeks are going to be used for camps. It's the craziest thing, but that's in our home. It's okay now. The calendars come out. Who's gone what week, and trying to figure out schedules. Thanks a lot, Casey, for that. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're welcome. Very welcome.
Because there are different kinds of camps,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So the adventure camp and
Extreme
camp.
Oh yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, and there's some extreme things these people are doing there. I mean, these high ropes, holy cow.
Yeah.
So that'll get you praying. Getting closer to God, that'll get you praying. Casey, any final messages that you'd want to give to those folks who are participating in our program today regarding summer camps?
Yeah, we just love people to pray for us. I mean, first and foremost, we are counting on everyone's prayers to just continue to cover those staff members, those campers, all those people who are helping to make these camps happen. So that's a huge. We'd also welcome you to send your children, your grandchildren, whoever it may be in your life. Bring your whole family up to one of the family camps to come take part in what's going on. If you are a priest, we would love your presence at camp. Mary Grace mentioned the 2-hour and sometimes 3-hour reconciliation services. If we had more priests, we could cut that down and have that. We still want that wonderful time, but the more sisters and brothers and priests we can have present up at camp would just be wonderful. I think too, just to invite people to see how they might be active, and to invite you to come see one of the camps. You know, we have different open houses throughout the year. We have a Christmas party in the Advent season. We have an open house / Easter egg hunt right before Easter. It's kind of an a Palm Sunday egg hunt, which we're working on the dates on that one for the coming year. And just to come up, and if you've been touched by CYO Summer Camp in the past, if it's been something that's played an active role in your life, and you are at a Catholic school, you are at a parish, we would invite you to take part. Help us to bring this mission forward, and be someone in your parish who would advocate with your pastor, with your principals, to help get the information out, to help share, to become a camp rep in your school, to take those posters, make sure we send them to all the parishes and schools. But we know sometimes people are busy in parish offices. I've worked in parish offices many years, and but to be someone who can help get that word out would be just wonderful.
That's excellent. That's Casey Ross. Mary Grace, any final word that you'd want to give to your peers, to the kids that are out there, or words that you want to give to the parents to tell their kids?
Come to camp. Send your kids to camp. It's the best week of the year. It'll change your life.
There it is. Come on now, right there. Come on now. If you want a word to say that you want to end with, that's a great one right there. So Casey, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us today. Mary Grace, thanks. You did a wonderful job. Very proud of you. And again, please go to seattlearchdiocese.org/camping. Is that right?
That's right.
seattlearchdiocese.org/camping. You can get lots of information. You can register right there online. I know we've been to that site many times. And we'll be thrilled to be going back there again. And if one of your kids is at a camp and you hear a Curran, go say hi. We'd love to be able to meet you and get to know you. Okay? Hey, thanks so much for being with us today.